They're big name, probably heard of him. We'll bet that you have. Maybe you haven't always heard of him, though. That's the catch, and that's kind of where I'm going to take this next topic. Liam Neeson recently announced today, I believe it was, that he was going to give up action movies. He wasn't going to be the gun-for-hire action movie star. Now, a little bit of background with Liam Neeson. Liam Neeson's career, in my opinion, reminds me a lot of the careers of Sid Haig and Danny Trejo. Sid Haig was a veteran character actor, but he got really big when Rob Zombie's House of a Thousand Corpses came out, and then Devil's Rejects. Danny Trejo was a really recognizable veteran character actor, and then Robert Rodriguez found him, and then we got Machete. Then we got movies like Spy Kids. Then we got movies like Badass. And the funny thing is, too, is like going, not to derail, but what's funny is Machete. Have you seen those movies, Joe?
I've seen the first Machete.
You know, Machete is a spin-off of the character from Spy Kids.
Yeah, I actually do know
and
that.
I don't think, somebody could maybe research this, I don't think there's another example of a movie where a kid's franchise has a spin-off that is R-rated.
Like, I don't think so either.
I find that very, very funny. But anyway, yeah, and I don't want to derail too much on that. But yeah, so Liam Neeson reminds me a lot of Sid Haig and Danny Trejo because he was an actor that was around for many years. Liam Neeson's first movie was all the way back in 1978. It was called Pilgrim's Progress. And he has acted for 40 years. He's been doing television movies. He's even done video games. He's done a voice in the game Fallout 3. He's been in a bunch of things. And you really, however, have only heard about him, though, in the last few years. Of course, he was in the 1999 adaptation of Les Miserables playing Jean Valjean. And, of course, he was in The Phantom Menace. He was in a lot of stuff. But I don't think, I'm going to make the argument, I don't think he really became a universal name. When I say universal, I mean young people our age, about 20 years old, know him, and people that are our grandparents' age know who he is. I mean, he did get award nominations for his movie Kinsey, which I think is one of his best roles. I don't know if you saw that one. That's the one about Alfred Kinsey, who was kind of the sex doctor.
Didn't see it.
I like that one a lot. That movie came out in 2005. But it wasn't until Taken, I believe, in 2008, that he really became a name. Of course, he was a breakout in Schindler's List, but I would still say that he still wasn't popular with this kind of target demographic. Movies like Excalibur, The Innocent, Suspect, Leap of Faith, Pilgrim's Progress, not a lot of people watching those movies nowadays. A lot of people going back to maybe Kinsey, Star Wars, Les Miserables, Taken now, the next... Batman Begins the next 3 days, Battleship, The Gray, I thought was really good. And now...
That's another one, too. Like, a lot of people thought that was going to be, like, action-packed. Really wasn't, but it's a good movie.
That was a very carefully constructed movie. I like that one a lot. Now, the thing with Liam Neeson, too, is that, you know, if you might not think of it, but he has done a lot of action movies recently. To name a few, he did the Taken trilogy, of course. He did Battleship, Unknown, The Gray, Next 3 Days, Nonstop, which is probably my favorite of him recently, the movie Nonstop that's set on a plane. I like that one a lot. I like the director of that. I think that's a very good film. He also did Run All Night, A Walk Among the Tombstones, and that was kind of like when you saw that his career was, or at least as an action movie star, was beginning to take a downward turn, is when he was in like Run All Night, A Walk Among the Tombstones. When those movies didn't cash out like Taken did, that was when you kind of saw it steering the opposite way. Now, my opinion, and you can chime in on this, Joe, and agree or disagree. My opinion is Neeson, who's 65 now. I think what's going to happen now is you're kind of seeing this. You see this a lot with like musicians. You see this a lot with athletes. You see this a lot in people like Harvey Weinstein, a film producer. You see it in LeBron James. You see it in Kobe Bryant. You know what I mean? You see it in Tom Brady even. You see it in these big actors, these powerhouses in their fields. I think Liam Neeson now, by retiring from action movies, he wants to leave a legacy. And he wants, maybe it's a legacy of Oscar nominations. Maybe it's a legacy of great movie roles in movies like the voice of the monster in A Monster Calls. We mentioned that last hour. Silence, the Martin Scorsese film, which was great. He's even going to be in the movie Widows, which is director Steve McQueen's new movie. Steve McQueen being the director of Hunger and 12 Years a Slave. I think he wants to leave a legacy now. And I can't blame him. I don't think he wants to be now remembered in like the third stage of his life. Because if you kind of break his career down, from 1978 to like 1999, he was kind of like the gun for hire, was in a lot of different random stuff. Some stuff was seen, some stuff wasn't. Then he did Star Wars. Now he kind of got that name. Then he really started to balloon again during 2008 with Taken. Nowadays, now he wants to kind of take a back seat while he still can. Not really take a back seat, but assert himself as an actor that is really capable of a knock you off your feet performance that I think he deserves and he is more than capable of. What do you think?
You know what? I actually agree with that 100% because you have people like, and I'm going to use Robert De Niro as an example. Robert De Niro, legendary actor, but a lot of films he's starring in recently, not legendary performances.
No.
Like Dirty Grandpa, The Big Wedding, Grudge Match, where he was boxing against Sylvester Stallone, right?
Indeed.
And it's just movies like those, and you're thinking, oh man, Robert De Niro, this great powerhouse, The Godfather, all these movies,
Goodfellas.
Taxi Driver,
You know?
and you see him in a movie like Dirty Grandpa, and it's just like, oh my God, what happened to you?
This is somebody that's really cashing the check. I'm waiting for Robert De Niro to say something like this. I mean, it's been 17 years. It started with The Adventures of Rocky and Bullwinkle.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, come on. I mean, it's totally like collect the check. I mean, if anything, I mean, I love Robert De Niro as much as the next guy, but I mean, at the same time, look at Joe Pesci. I mean, of course, Joe Pesci did some silly movies. He did Home Alone. He did I forget. I always blank on the one name where he played like the landlord. The Super. That was the one. The Super. 8 Heads in a Duffel Bag. He played some kind of stupid movies, but he also had kind of a right to play stupid movies because the guy gave some damn good performances in Raging Bull, Goodfellas, Casino, you name it. He doesn't act anymore. He's retired. He's coming back for Scorsese's new movie, The Irishman, but he's acted in like 3 movies in the last 17 years. Where De Niro just kind of does these collect the check performances. Now, Neeson, like I said, Neeson's not retiring totally. He's got 5 movies that still have yet to come out. He's really, in my opinion, trying to leave the legacy.
Yeah, like, I mean, you just mentioned Silence, which was a Martin Scorsese film.
Indeed.
Like, that's a great director to work with for your career. There's a lot of things, too, like A Monster Calls, and much more like those smaller movies. He wants to leave something behind. He's even doing, not as much, but he does comedy roles. His performance in the Lego movie, his voice acting as the good cop, bad cop, I loved that. I thought he was really funny. Mm-hmm. Even a movie, like, I didn't think it was that funny, but A Million Ways to Die in the West. I thought
with Seth MacFarlane.
Yeah, he was very funny in that, I thought. And the cameo he has in Ted 2 was probably the funniest thing in that movie.
Yeah, that was pretty good. And I mean, he was also in very briefly in Anchorman 2. You know, he was, again, you said the Lego movie and stuff like that. He's been in a lot of stuff, man.
So, like,
the guy was doing on average 5-6 movies a year.
Yeah, even like those films where it's like he's taking up a comedy role, he's still doing good in it. It might not be a good film. Like I said, A Million Ways to Die in the West, I thought was just okay. But, you know, the Lego movie was really good. And as we were saying earlier, the smaller movies with A Monster Calls and Silence.
Yeah, and he was also, too, a lot of people forget this, and I haven't seen these movies, but I always knew that he was in it. He's also been a voice actor in Chronicles of Narnia.
Oh, really?
You know, yes.
Oh, yeah, he's the lion.
Yes, indeed.
Asgard.
Yeah, you know, I was going to say, he's been in a lot of stuff, you know what I mean? He's got a very storied filmography, enough to merit its own Wikipedia page. So, I mean, I definitely think this is really a matter of legacy for Neeson, and I think he's deserved it.
I totally understand. I mean, you look at it and it's just like, do I really want to be in eventually straight to Redbox movies?
Yeah, and and I mean that. Look at Danny Trejo. Like, I like Danny Trejo, but that guy takes so many movies. Like, it was funny, Danny Trejo, because I compare him a lot to Liam Neeson just in terms of the way his careers went. Danny Trejo is so funny because he gave an interview at one point and they were talking to him about movies because he's like Ron Jeremy. He does anything and everything. Like, he does. I don't think that guy says no to a movie. He does all sorts of horror movies. Danny Trejo, I think at one point had like over 40 movies coming out in a year, like these really random straight to DVD movies. And he says, I fly all over the country to do these movie roles, 1-day shoots and stuff. He's like, I'm in my apartment. He's like, I'm in my apartment in Atlanta and I'm watching a movie on TV. And I'm like, this is pretty good. And then I'm like, oh, wait, I'm in this? And that's what Danny Trejo said. And I'm like, he does so many movies. He's like, that's happened more than once. I'll be watching a movie in my apartment or I'll be watching in a hotel. And I watch the movie and I see me and I'm like, oh my God, I starred in this?
I feel like that's how Nicolas Cage also sees himself
Nicolas
sometimes.
Cage, I think Sid Haig maybe too. You know who Sid Haig is too. Yeah, there was Captain Spaulding, you know, in Devil's Rejects and House of 1,000 Corpses. But I think Liam Neeson is leaving a legacy he absolutely deserves. Now, I'm going to say this. If Liam Neeson God forbid, because we don't want to, you know what I mean? I'm just saying this hypothetically. If Liam Neeson died tomorrow, okay, he would still leave. People would still say Schindler's List. People would still say The Phantom Menace. But I don't think it's unreasonable to try and say that he wants to get another Oscar because he won for Schindler's List. I think he wants to get another Oscar because Schindler's List was 93.
Him
so that was a
Clint
while
Eastwood,
ago.
I feel like really want one last
Oscar. They want that legacy Oscar, and I'm hoping, and there's reason to believe that there's every reason to believe that Steve McQueen's Widows is going to be a masterpiece because that also has Daniel Kaluuya from Get Out in it. Ooh. He's going to be in it. That movie's got an electric cast. I just heard about it a couple days ago, and that's what made me think of like Liam Neeson and stuff.
Let's check this movie
That
out.
Movie's got Viola Davis. It's got Elizabeth Debicki, who is in The Great Gatsby. It's got Colin Farrell. It's got Michael Harney. It's got Robert Duvall. This is an elite ensemble cast. It's going to be coming out, I believe, November of next year, and it's going to be a big movie. So yeah, that's what I think. I think Liam Neeson has had a little bit of an unorthodox film career, or definitely a film career to be proud of nonetheless. But I absolutely think though that he's looking for that last legacy Oscar or that last legacy performance now that he's entering kind of the twilight of his career, I feel.